Hello everyone. It is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. The time is 10:40 a.m. Pacific and the temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit here in the historic city of San Bruno, California. And welcome back to the West Coast Walker channel, everyone. My name's Robert, and today I'm going to show you around a truly remarkable and magnificent place known as the Golden Gate National Cemetery. It's a massive military cemetery consisting of 145,000 graves of soldiers, sailors, airmen and women, and their spouses and families. Let's go have a look. And yes, we are in the historic city of San Bruno, California, a few miles outside of San Francisco, in this truly remarkable and magnificent military cemetery, which began construction in 1937 and was opened in 1942 to house the veterans of World War I. Of course, little did they know in 1937 that World War II was on the horizon, and that many veterans of that war would be buried here as well. Not to mention the other great wars of the 20th century, Korea and Vietnam. And like I said, there is approximately 145,000 graves. And each gravestone is lined up what it seems like miles on end here. With absolute military precision. Beautiful landscaping and trees, and a truly serene, sad, and remarkable place. This is absolutely hallowed ground here in San Bruno, California. A few months ago there was a burial here, but pretty much all the burial spots are taken and really no one else is going to be buried here. But there was someone who had died in Vietnam, and his remains were recently found, and he was allowed to be buried here because he was a Vietnam vet from the Bay Area. There are other famous graves here, such as Chester Nimitz, the great Pacific Fleet commander from World War II. And of course, just thousands and thousands of soldiers, sailors, and airmen and women, and veterans and their spouses. And I believe children of the dead are allowed to be buried here as well. I'll be careful not to walk on any graves. Some have the larger gravestones, some are just plaques in the ground. As we make our way through here, in this beautifully landscaped and meticulously arranged military cemetery of epic proportions. Of course, most of the burials are here from World War II, the greatest and biggest war of all time. The 20th century was filled with death, by far the deadliest century. There was World War I from 1914 to 1918, which was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Consisted of massive trench warfare and even chemical warfare. But then in the 1930s, some would say 1939, some would say 1937, began another war, World War II, which was even more devastating. It was in fact a nuclear war with 2 atomic bombs dropped on Japan, as well as horrible things like the Holocaust and the Battle of Stalingrad and the massacre at Nanking. Now I say 1939 or 1937. Most history books will say that World War II began in 1939 when Germany attacked Poland. But in my opinion, I believe it began in 1937 on July 7th, when Japan launched a full-scale assault on the nation of China. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you believe that World War II began in 1939 with Germany's invasion of Poland? And of course the subsequent Soviet invasion of Poland 16 days later? Or did it begin in 1937 when Japan invaded China? Of course, Japan and China were both heavily involved in World War II. Other countries didn't quite get involved in the Asian War until Japan attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor. As you can see, it's got massive elevation with a large hill at the top and a beautiful American flag. As you know, the Bay Area is very hilly, and so they created this huge cemetery to flow with the terrain. And so we have many gravestones like this. Mr. Jack Deramore Mage from Washington. He was a colonel in the US Army in World War II. He's born January 9th, 1903. January 9th, that's my mom's birthday. And he passed away on May 20th, 1968. So he didn't die in the war, but he was a veteran of World War II, and veterans are also buried here, of course. In World War II, approximately 40 million people died. Some say 60 million, it depends on how you're counting. The numbers are hard to imagine. Russia suffered the worst losses. Approximately 27 million people died. In World War I and II, Russia suffered the worst losses. The 20th century was absolutely devastating for Russia and the Soviet Union. Germany and Japan were the aggressors in World War II. And I can only imagine the millions of men they lost and how big their military cemeteries must be. Not just in Germany and Russia, but also France and England and Japan. And China, who suffered the Nanking massacre at the hands of Japan and lost much territory, which was regained after World War II. Some beautiful palm trees ahead, as well as the signature tree of California, I would say, which is the Monterey cypress tree with this beautiful green canopy at the top. We have one gravestone I've noticed here of Mr. Marvin Leonidas Dodge. World War I and II he fought. And he didn't die in either war. He survived both. He died in 1965. So veterans of both world wars are here. Imagine what a life he led, to see all that death and destruction firsthand. Of course, World War I changed the world in many ways, perhaps even more so than World War II, because after World War I, all the great empires fell. The German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, all collapsed. And revolutions spread across the world. Socialist revolutions, communist revolutions. And there was much death and destruction in all of those nations. Many of the countries we know of today were formed after World War I. Before that, they were just part of greater empires. Of course, I did mention Korea earlier, and we have a Korean veteran here who fought in both World War II and Korea. And it seems like he survived both and died in 1964. Korea was a very, very deadly war. The United States destroyed almost all of North Korea. And when I say almost all, I mean 90% of the buildings of the entire country were absolutely destroyed. And they didn't shy away from killing civilians. In those days, there was really no such thing as a civilian. Everyone was part of the war effort, and everyone was a target. Especially in Japan, Germany, Korea, and Russia. They're watering the grass here today, it looks like. It's been pretty dry in the Bay Area. Don't get much rain in the summertime, so in order to keep this nice and pristine, watering is a must. As we see a massive wall of cloud and fog ahead of us. But it's not a rain cloud. Let me know in the comments, have you ever seen a cemetery like this? I certainly haven't. I feel like the size and scope is absolutely mind-blowing. And the precision with which the graves are lined up is just so meticulous and so amazing. Now they put this cemetery in San Bruno because in San Francisco they don't really allow burials. Back in the 1800s they got rid of most cemeteries and moved them all to a city called Colma. They in fact dug up all the bodies and just removed them. They said that we don't want any more cemeteries in San Francisco, the land is too precious. Most cities around the Bay Area don't really have cemeteries except for Colma. Everyone seems to be buried in Colma, and maybe one day I'll do a video of Colma, which I call the cemetery city, which has just graveyard after graveyard. The landscaping here is just beautiful. I'm not allowed to have any picnics or any recreation here, but if you could, this would be a perfect little tree to sit down and have one. But this is hallowed ground. It's not really for recreation or for having a good time. It's for honoring the dead and the soldiers who fought for us and who gave their lives for America and the world. Obviously cars are allowed here because it's just too big to be able to, if you have to find a grave here at the back, it would take too long to walk, especially for an elderly person, so you can drive through. Just drive slowly and with caution and with remembrance in your heart. Again, let me know in the comments of what you think about this military cemetery. You find it remarkable? As you can see, some graves are not soldiers, but actually wives of soldiers. So we have Evelyn E., who was married to Sanford R. And so they are allowed to be buried here as well, next to their husbands. Of course, many women also would have died in the world wars, not in combat, but many women served as medics, and I'm certain that many of them would have been killed. And even if they didn't die in the war, I would still consider a woman who served as a medic to be a veteran and has every right to be buried here. They do a great job landscaping this place. It's meticulously curated.
Le da 3.000, le da 2.500, le da ahí 4.000
Very unique types of trees. You have these tall, skinny palm trees. You have evergreens, Monterey cypresses, pine, spruce. I believe those may be some type of oak or sycamore. And so that's what you see in the Bay Area. It's kind of a mixture of different things. It's a lot different than, say, the northeast of the United States, where you would mostly find, well, you'd certainly find pines and spruces, oaks, maples, but not mixed with palm trees. can see these beautiful Roman style gates to enter the cemetery. Thank you for joining me on this short walk of the magnificent and remarkable Golden Gate National Cemetery. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye for now.